Hey everybody, this is Roderick from 6 Hours to Kill. This is the first installment of a series of videos that I'm going to do where I take a look back at the albums that had the biggest impact on me growing up as a guitar player primarily, and sort of how these albums have sort of shaped who I am as a musician these days. I'm going to start all the way back as a young child and move my way up to albums released last year. Before I get started, I want to talk a little bit about sort of why I decided to do this. It's sort of twofold. The first was I do a lot of driving and spend a lot of time in the car. And also on long bike rides, I spend a good deal of time listening to music, but also occasionally trying to find interesting podcasts that kind of dial me into the history of the kind of music that I listen to and that I play. And I was listening to a podcast on my way back from Southern Kentucky the other day that was, the podcaster was interviewing the producer of Angel Dust by Faith No More. And I was really hit by sort of how much impact that album had actually had on me as a guitar player, as an artist. And I thought, hey, why not think about all the other albums that sort of did that and put together a list. And so I did. And then I was thinking about how often artists, musicians get asked about who your influences are. And it's such a complicated question because you get so many different types of influences at different times in your life. So I figured this would be a fun way to sort of tackle both of those issues, like who my influences are, but also like what albums like really resonated with me and had a specific impact on me as an artist. So without further ado, let's get started and talk about the first of those. The first part of this, actually, the album itself is key and significant. It's one album that really stands out to me as having some of my first memories around music. But really, to tell this story, I have to start by talking a little bit broader, more in general, in that I was pretty lucky in a sense growing up because I had a brother who was 10 years older than me. And he started a family really young and moved out pretty early. And for whatever reason, like when he moved out, it seems that I inherited the majority of his album collection. So I'm talking real albums, vinyl. There were some 8 tracks too at this point in time. But I mean, the vinyl that I was exposed to at an age of like 8, 7 or 8, I started digging into these things. I had, Queen and AC/DC and Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, just this really rich, diverse sort of rock landscape of vinyl to explore. And, it didn't seem unusual to me. It just was life. So looking back, it's pretty cool sort of what I was able to be exposed to at that point in time. So this first album that I'm addressing is, of course, Kiss. Kiss Alive 2 is the one that I chose to sort of focus in on, although I did have a pretty heavy catalog of Kiss albums that was already there that I continued to add to. But Kiss Alive 2 is the one I'm going to focus on. Obviously, so many guitar players of a certain age, yes, will point to Ace Frehley as sort of the inspiration, the thing that got them interested in playing guitar in a rock and roll band. And that's the same for me. For sure, the first band that I ever spent significant amounts of time with a tennis racket in my hand in front of the mirror, trying to sort of mimic the moves and the attitude of this guitar player. And that sort of fun vibe and that idea of theatricality, the idea that a rock show is more than just the good music, but there could also be this visual element to it, which now later in life, as I'm photographer and video artist, like really still appeals to me, that idea that there can be layers to this, moving beyond just the sights or just the sounds and bringing in sights as well. So yeah, Kiss, man. And that album in particular, I jammed out a lot. It's sort of fun to look back on now. You know, I've started the playlist over on Spotify that has all the albums that I'm going to talk about through this video series, and it's kind of funny to like look at this list of songs. I mean, there's so many like classics on there that we think of immediately. You know, Detroit Rock City and, you know, Dr. Love and all these sorts of things that are, you know, the classic Kiss songs. There is so much sexual innuendo in these songs, and it's hilarious to think of me being like 8 or 9 years old and like standing in front of the mirror with a tennis racket just like rocking out to these songs like Meet Me in the Ladies Room and Love Gun and all that. I had no idea like what they were talking about, obviously, but the music was good, and you know, it was fun to jam to, and it was definitely the gateway to me envisioning myself someday picking up a guitar and starting to play. It was really a lot later when I actually finally did it, but I spent a lot of time sort of nurturing that vision in my brain of sort of what the rock guitarist could and should be. So definitely one of the earliest memories for me as far as nudging me in that direction comes from this particular album. So, you know, if you remember that, want to sort of reflect on it, head on over to Spotify, check out the song list that I've posted there, and, you know, take a listen to it. Feel free to add in comments here sort of your memories from those or other Kiss albums that sort of stand out to you, or maybe what was that first album that let you know you wanted to pick that instrument up. Yeah, so throw those comments out there. Let me know what you think. If you have any ideas for other things I should do with this while I'm moving through the albums, just let me know. Love to hear some feedback from you, and I hope you guys enjoy this, and for some of you, like, some of these albums take you down memory lane as well, or maybe introduce you to something new, and gives you some inspiration along the way. Thanks for checking it out.